All right, I think we are good to go. A little trouble there with the old technology. But hello and welcome everyone again to episode number 7 of the Together Achieving Greatness show here on YouTube. If you're checking out live, thanks for joining in. If you want to keep checking them out live or just stay up to date, click the like button below and click the little bell for the notification so you get that coming to you live so you can check these out, get interactive. I'll engage with you if you are in here live. But other than that, if you check it out later, that's fine too. All more power to you. Get it when you can. So today we are going to get into. I know a few weeks ago I did um, my 10 nutrition principles for living a better life, and today I'm going to get into 10 training principles that will help you live a better life and train more effectively, more efficiently, train harder, better, so you can build more muscle, be stronger, be more powerful, and have less aches and pains as you get older. So let's just jump right in. Not gonna beat around the bush here. We'll jump right in. And I've gotten these. I've kind of stole or borrowed these from a lot of other coaches. I kind of mix and match what I think are 10. You might see people refer to them as 10 commandments of training. Let's go principles. Just because we just can stop there and yeah, just kind of make it principles that you can follow and ten good principles to follow so you can train for the rest of your life. All right, so number one, and this is one I got directly from Joe DeFranco, and that is do not train through pain. You should not be training through pain. That just leads to more injuries, even making things worse. If you got a bad shoulder and it just hurts the bench press with a straight bar, why do it then? For your ego, you're just uh, that's not gonna get you that. Gone are the days of when you're uh, high school or 20 years old and you think you're unbeatable. But if you keep that mentality up going into your later years, it's just gonna lead you to more injury or uh, more aches and pains, and you're never gonna heal up and get ready. You're not gonna make good progress because if you're injured, you can't really train as much as you want to if you're always injured. So that's gonna neglect your progress and just going through pain. And like a lot of times, a lot of pain can come from the straight bar. And I'm not against using a straight bar. I think a straight bar is great if you're capable of using it. But like a barbell back squat, that can, if you have back pain, why are you doing it? Um, Deadlifting from the floor with a straight bar, most people can't do it properly anyway, so you shouldn't. Straight bar benching, that can issue a lot of or cause a lot of shoulder issues if you got shoulder problems or chest tears or things like that. So it's all about making sure you're managing your pain. You can train around pain. You can find different variations that are more comfortable. So maybe a barbell bench press aggravates an old shoulder injury, but dumbbells are fine. Dumbbells don't bother it at all. Which one should you go with? Go with the dumbbells or push-ups or whatever. Find variations that allow you to train without the pain is what I'm saying. So that was number one, is do not train through pain. Soreness, that's a different thing. You can train through soreness, and a lot of times soreness is going to go away with training and feel better. So soreness, and that's two distinctions. Soreness is not pain, and pain is not necessarily soreness. So number one, do not train through pain. Number two, move well and move a lot. So I like to tell people to focus on moving like a human, learn to walk, learn to crawl, so then you can train like an athlete. And this kind of gets into moving well. You want to have efficient move. You don't want to be walking with a limp or um, super pigeon toed or something like that. Work on moving well, and same with getting your form down first before you start maxing out on lifts. So get your squat form down, get your lunge form, your bench press, get your hinge form down, get all the forms down with variations that allow you to learn the form and master the form before you start adding a ton of weight. Because if you just jump under the squat bar and you can't squat very well, you're just going to reinforce bad squat pattern, movement patterns, and that's going to lead to injuries, going to lead to bad technique, more aches, more pains, and just less progress and less feeling good. And that's ultimately what we want to do is feel good. So yeah, move and then get the movement down and then move a lot. And this goes for getting steps. So get what, 8,000, 10,000, 12,000 steps a day. Just don't sit around all the time. And same goes for just don't stand around all the time because being stuck in one spot, that leads to issues you see a lot of times. I know when I used to work in like a factory, just standing and doing the same thing over and over again, back gets sore. You get like overuse of doing the same repetitive motions over again. Same with standing, same with sitting. We sit too much as it is, hunched over. So make sure you're moving well and make sure you are moving often and moving a lot. So that would be number 2. On to number 3 is train like an athlete. This is one of my favorites because I think this is the best way to train. And I've done a podcast or I've done an episode on this already. You can check that out. I believe it was it episode one or two, one of the first ones. So check that out. But training like an athlete, what's that mean to me? It means training for strength, training for power, and training for speed. So your nutrition, that's what gets you um your gets you bigger or gets you smaller or yeah, smaller, less losing weight. So you're training for power, training for speed, and you're training to build muscle. So this is the athlete. So when it comes to strength, lift heavy things, uh, power and speed, lift light weights fast. You're going to sprint, you're going to jump, throw, cut. Different conditioning can happen depending on where you're at and what you need, and then some mobility work. So those are all what I include in training like an athlete. All those different things to ultimately, when you're training, you want to work to build your power, build your speed, build strength, and build muscle. So that's what your training should be focused on. Your training is not focused on fat loss. That's what sleep, that's what nutrition's for. So train like an athlete. Number 3. Get into number 4 here, and that is warming up to train. Another one I got from Joe D. So a lot of people train to warm up. So you're not just jumping into your sets of, say, again, we'll go to a bench press. So you're not just jumping right under the barbell and doing your, oh, I'll do a set of the bar. Oh, then I'll put 45 on and then whatever, keep ramping up from there. That's part of it. Yeah, that's kind of ramping up for your bench, but warm up before that. So you can start with, I don't know, everyone's got their own different things and find what kind of floats your boat and what works for you, kind of what makes you feel good, but also what gets you ready for training because you don't want to just go into training cold. That's how you get hurt. That's how you get injured, and you don't get as much effect. It's not as effective or not as efficient. And you're not going to be able to move as much weight or load as you can as if you're warming up. So something like some soft tissue work, maybe some foam rolling or RPR or whatever it may be to start, kind of that prehab stuff. You can get into some correctives. You can get into a dynamic warm. What I've been doing a lot, because I do a sprinting before my workouts for the most part, pretty much all of my workouts, or something. It's just more of a dynamic, athletic kind of sprint warm up. So do some like something to just get the blood flow a little bit going, some shuffles or something like that. Then get into some dynamic kind of walking stretches, so to speak. So like a walking quad stretch, walking high leg kick, high leg kick, get the hamstrings warmed up. Just different things like that. Then get into like an A series, so A walks, A marches, A skips. So whatever it is, find what works best for you. What's going to get you ready for that specific training day, what you're doing in that training. So kind of the warm up can mimic and get you ready for that warm up, and then finish your warm up with something dynamic or something that's going to hit your CNS and get that ready to go. So it could be like a sprint, a jump, a throw, something like that that's going to get your central nervous system fired up. So warm up to train. Don't just jump into training and train and warm up. So make sure your warm up is getting you prepped and ready for that next whatever half hour, 60 minutes of training. So I think Smitty said it best, Jim Smith, when he says warm up should create a window of trainability. So think of it as that warm up is getting you ready and creating that window of which is going to be the best time for you to train. So number 4, warm up to train. Number 5, I put focus on compound movements. So not these are things like your squats, your hip hinges, your lunges, pushes, pulls, rotations, carries, things like those. Those are the compound movements. So think of compound as working more than one joint, working more than one body part. Whereas if you're always just doing isolation, things like bicep curls, tricep extensions, they have their place, but that's not going to be the focus. That's more of the bodybuilding. You mix in some bodybuilding type stuff with training like an athlete, but focus on the compound movement. That's what's going to get you strong. That's what's going to build the most muscle, and it's going to be the most bang for your buck because you're like a squat. Think of a squat. You're hitting pretty much everything. If you're doing it right anyway, you're using your arms a little bit, depending on the variation. Definitely using your legs, your back, your butt, your hamstrings, your quads, all that stuff you're using. So push-ups, if you're doing those right, you're using your entire body. So compound movements, focusing on multi-joints and not just the single joint, like a bicep curl or like extension, something like that. Like I said, those things can be included, but that's not going to be the main focus. Those are more accessories or supplements to our main compound movements, and hit those a couple times a week, whatever, depending on your training split. So focus on compound movement. That's going to get you big. That's going to get you strong. That's going to get you powerful and going to help bulletproof the body and make you have less aches and pains because you're focusing on these big compound movements. So number 5, focus on the compound movements. Number 6, mobility work. It can be boring, but do it anyway. And yes, the best mobility is training through a full range of motion under a load, I think, is the best way to do it. But the other mobility work is great too. Just things like body weight. For example, like 90-90 hip switches, different kind of yoga type stretches you think of, like the world's greatest stretch, or upper back stuff with like Blackburns or handcuffs or swimmer moves, just different things you can do. Focus on mobility. These things can be done every day because they're not going to be as intensive. So you can do short things like when you wake up is a good time. Maybe hit some mobility after you're stiff from sleeping on the wrong, sleeping weird or awkward or whatever. You can do mobility for pretty much any body part, neck, shoulders, ankles. Just kind of move everything through a full range of motion. That's a good way to go at it too. But think of mobility as controlling your body through an entire range of motion and developing strength through an entire range of motion. Not just being flexible, because you can be flexible but not be able to go under load. Because if you can have all the mobility in the world, but if you can't do it under load, then you're not going to make as good a progress as you want to and not going to see the results you want to. So do mobility work. Again, you can do that anytime pretty much. It's not going to be too uh, intensive if you're doing it correctly and doing um, just the mobility that I'm speaking about with different moves and stuff like that. And these are going to help because it's going to help you get better range of motion and get under load and get stronger under load. So help correct things so your form is better. So do mobility work, even though it may be boring. Um, so number 7, we are going to train for relative and absolute strength. So think of relative strength as kind of your body weight, your strength to your body weight. So things like push-ups, chin-ups, those types of things. Whereas absolute strength is just get as much weight as you can and lift it in a squat or deadlift, whatever it may be, whatever lift it may be. So we want to get good at both of them because how often do you see a big time, like a power lifter, oh, he can squat a house or deadlift a house, but he can't do a push-up or a pull-up because they're so big and out of shape and just they don't have that relative strength. Whereas someone who's good at both can hammer out 10, 15, 20 pull-ups and can do dumbbells overhead in good quality form, and push press or something that's overhead, or can squat a good amount of weight double their body weight or whatever it may be, and then still do a ton of body weight squats without burning out and not being able to do any. So, or can bench press 300 pounds, but can also do 50 unbroken push-ups, something like that, whatever it may be. But we want both of them. We want that relative strength and we want that absolute strength because that's ultimately going to build a well-rounded athlete and person and get us the best results. Because if you're always just sticking with barbell lifts and things like that, that's what leads to a lot of banged up shoulders, banged up knees, banged up backs, things like that. But if you're mixing in push-ups, those relatives, pull-ups, things like that, that's going to help create fix any imbalances and just help work on that relative strength. Because if you can get bigger and add some muscle, and you're still getting a good amount of pull-ups in, you're getting stronger relatively, and then you're adding more weight. Or if you're getting lighter, losing weight, and still your absolute strength is building up, you're able to squat more, you're still getting stronger, absolutely. But then you can still work on the relative strength with the body weight stuff. So that would be number 7. Number 8 is prioritize strength training over cardio. So all you cardio connoisseurs, always on the treadmill, you're not seeing results. That's because you're not doing strength training. So strength training should be number 1. Sprinkle in cardio for your heart health. Strength training is going to get you stronger, build muscle, and can also burn fat because more muscle is going to burn fat. But cardio is really not the best fat loss thing. Sprinkling in, like I said, for your heart. It's going to be good for your heart. Can help with some conditioning. And when I say cardio, a lot of times I'm just talking about walking. Go for walks. Add in some HIIT training, and we'll get into again what HIIT training actually is. So sprinkling cardio for your heart health, but prioritize your strength training. So lift. That should be your main form of exercising. That is number 8, strength training over cardio. Number 9, train your backside. Train the muscles you can't see in your mirror. Your butt, your hamstrings, your upper back, your calves. Train that backside because it is important. We're so front dominated these days. We're always pushing with bench press, push-ups, doing bicep curls, those types of things, so we can see that stuff in the mirror. You're like, hey, yeah, I look sexy. Look at my sexy body, yeah. And then you realize you're getting hunched over, and then you turn around and you look like Quasimodo. And we don't want that. We're always at our computers. We're always on our phones. So we need to work on our backside. And a good thing you can think of, it's not exact, but pull 2 times as often as you push is a good one. So if you do push-ups, say 2 times or a push, so bench press one day, push-ups another day, twice a week, do double that of pulls. So do on the push day, do on the push-up day, do a seated row and then a band face pull, or on the other day do a pull-up and a inverted row, something like that. So just pull 2 times as often as you push. So just to make sure you are hitting that back, because like Justin Timberlake said, I want a sexy back. Maybe that's not what he said, but we can all imagine, because I think that makes the song better if he says, I want a sexy back instead of I'm bringing sexy back. So I want a sexy back. Think of that. Get your backside, your butt, your hamstrings, your calves, your back, upper back, things like that. Make sure we're not just sticking to our mirror muscles. And number 10, final, number 10 is keep it simple. You don't need to be super complex and have this overly sophisticated training plan, because what good is a complex training plan if you can't be consistent with it? Keep it simple. Follow those tips 1 through 9 there in the principles. And just build out a simple program. A simple program done consistently is going to be super effective. Focus on your compound lifts. Focus on power, speed, strength, building muscle, and you will be so much better off than if you go, oh, I gotta do this move there. I'm balancing on a ball and juggling and lifting all at the same time. No, just focus on a squat. Focus on deadlifts. Focus on those compound movements, those foundational movement patterns: squat, hip hinge, push, pull, lunge, rotate, hit some core, hit that backside, and you'll be good to go. You don't sprint, jump, throw. That's about what you need. You don't need anything sophisticated. It's simple is better because that's going to help you be more consistent, going to help you stay on track, going to help you keep going and ultimately progressing forward and seeing the results that you want and living a better life, being a better athlete for life, and seeing the progress and the results that you want so you can live that better life and help be a good role model for people around you, your family, your friends. So, number 10 is keep it simple. So, again, guys, we will run down them here quick. Number 1, do not train through pain. Number 2, move well and move a lot. Number 3, train like an athlete. Number 4, warm up to train. Number 5, focus on compound movements. Number 6, do mobility too, even though it could be boring. Number 7, train for relative and absolute strength. Number 8, prioritize strength training over cardio, especially all you cardio connoisseurs. Train muscles you can't see in the mirror is number 9. So hit that backside. And number 10 is keep it simple. So there you have it, folks. My 10 training principles to help you live a better life, keep those results, to help you keep those results coming and keep progressing as you age, because you should be doing this for the rest of your life. And that's why my goal is to help people become athletes for life and stay athletes for life. So if you guys have any more questions, shoot them in the comments below, or you can check out my email posted below this in the little link down there. You should be able to check it out. Email is probably the best way to get a hold of me. Otherwise, if you want to get ready to get in on coaching, the link is below. You can click that and apply to coach, and we'll jump on a free discovery call. And I look forward to speaking with you again, guys. Again, tag Performance in Nutrition. This is episode 7, Together Achieving Greatness show, and we will see you next week for the Thanksgiving week edition of the Together Achieving Greatness show. Thank you, guys. Have a wonderful night, and remember to subscribe and like the video below. Have a great night, guys.